Bienvenidos y bienvenidas a la Zumpuliche Interview con Jhon Jatenjor. Vamos a iniciar a ahondar un poco en los cortometrajes que, wow, eso sí, déjeme, me le quito el sombrero, es impresionante. Vamos a empezar con uno de tus primeros, que es sobre Príncipe Paraíso. Príncipe Paraíso es una de las historias donde el amor se destaca en todos los campos, pero ahí es donde me surge mi pregunta. Usted está muy empapado en investigaciones acerca de, hey, investigaciones
Hi.
sobre temas de amoríos, temas de necesitar un poco el contexto y desde su perspectiva de todos los campos que has investigado, ¿cuál es el amor que hace falta para que el cine sea más visibilizado? El amor que aún puede generar más, o sea, más fe en eso.
Okay, Stefano, we are going to start talking about Prince Paradise. And John led me an interesting question that I'm going to try to translate because it's difficult. But I think the question is, in the research for this movie, dealing the subject of love, what do you think that is the way that movies need to show love in a different way to really explore or, yes, again, show this subject in other way?
Yeah, so it's a very good question. It's a very good question. You know, when you try to look at films that have to do with love, you have not just only the romantic parts. You can have the competitive parts of love. You can have the destructive parts of love. You can have all the different parts of love that happen so often when you're young, and there's people get together for various different reasons and they're competitive. I think a movie like Prince Paradise is a film that's like that. It's a film that it's also has a little bit of narcissism. You know, sometimes we try to match with partners that are not good matches for us, but we think that they are what we they're what we deserve, or the image of what they are. The image of what they are is what we would like them to be, and then we try to become with them. So I think that film has a tremendous amount of insight into narcissistic love, into all sorts of aspects of love that have to do with those unhealthy parts of love.
The subject that now in social media we call the toxic love.
Yes, toxic love.
Yes, no, great answer. Great question, John, and great answer.
John, thank you so much for that answer. Thank you, John.
John, hiciste una excelente pregunta, exacto, él te agradece, porque este corto fue una pregunta compleja y también una respuesta compleja, pero dice que es que este corto nos habla del amor desde un punto de vista competitivo. ¿Por qué? Digamos que de jóvenes, y sí, me relaciono mucho con lo que dice Stefano, tendemos a idealizar el amor, a idealizar el amor, a construir, digamos, una imagen en torno a esa persona que sería algo así como una especie de amor narcisista. Entonces, lo que hace este trabajo y tal vez lo que se busca es mostrar esta parte de lo que puede ser llamado un amor tóxico, porque pues sabe muy bien que en el cine, y bueno, aquí yo analizo de esta manera, el amor se muestra, digamos, como una manera casi idílica y no se muestra como algo competitivo, como amores incluso equivocados. Entonces, de esto trata este cortometraje.
Wow, es una increíble respuesta. Además, también hay una historia que es un corto de todos los que ha realizado, que es El día que tuve que crecer. Habla sobre el activismo juvenil, pero ahí se involucra sobre el tipo de ideales que suelen perseguir los jóvenes. Aunque en esta historia y lo que yo he investigado, ¿bajo qué estándares o qué tipo de estereotipos eh, los cortometrajes, las historias juveniles necesitan que debemos saber para la sociedad? ¿Necesitamos ser pragmáticos o necesitamos actuar bajo unos estándares que la verdad consigan el efecto real?
Ok, John, otra pregunta compleja, pero sé que la voy a entender traduciendo. Ok, another complex question, but I know
I
that
like
I can
complex
translate it.
questions.
Right? Yes, it's about the day I had to grow up.
Yes.
Now we are going to. The question is, in the previous one we talked about the way that love need to be shown. Here we need to talk about how do we need to let's say motivate youth, because what do we need? A pragmatic youth or a more active youth?
We need both. We need both. We need a youth that reads and is very aware on multiple sides of an issue, so they can look at the conservative side, and they can look at the liberal side, or they can look at the Democratic side, they can look at the Republican side, and they can see the values of which one is good, and also the benefits of each. And so we need them to read, and we also need to have them realize, that activism is not only on Instagram, on social media. And so this is the first generation that has ever existed to have access to social media. And that's is a good and a bad thing. The reason it's good is that it gets to an issue very quickly. You can let lots of people know very quickly with a very loud microphone something that is happening right away. And so that's powerful. You can react instantaneously. But it can also be bad because social media is driven by advertisers. So it doesn't really promote true dialogue. It's feeding you information that you already agree with. So unlike in the old days where people would have to sit down, or you would talk about this physical connection of people talking, social media knows that you're already it's going to feed you something that you already agree with. So the chances of you seeing another perspective and another point of view is very slim. And so that's what I think about the youth today. But I am very sympathetic towards the Gen Zs. The Day I Had to Grow Up is a love letter in a way to Generation Z, showing them as being maybe more articulate and brighter than some people say, because they face quite a lot of criticism, and I recognize those criticisms, but we have to really inform our youth and guide them, because social media has never been around before like it is now.
I had to forgive you because I'm in a neighborhood, a Latin neighborhood, so music is loud everywhere. And I had to thank you because it's crazy. When John started this project, the country, Colombia,
Yes.
entered on riots. The riots still on. And the crazy thing is I know that with this interview is being uploaded, the riots will continue because after 40 years, the youth, not myself because I am 32, but the youngers, the 20s, they are marching. And you are right, man, because I try to be, I'm more like a center guy, but here the people from the center are attacked, and I understand because all the subjects that you are talking in the answer, we are living it now. So I hope this answer can help people, the youth from my country, because we need it, man. It's the first time the the grandchildren are the ones that are defending the country. So I feel I have to tend them, even if they mistake sometimes. But we will just be fair. Okay, man. So I had to tell it.
I'm glad you told me that, Andreas, because they're the centrists in the world that exists. You and I, people who are centrists, we can see the world from both sides. We can see issues from both sides, but you need that very much to move a country forward.
No, man, I had to thank you. After I translate, I had to tell you something, like a little trivia. In
Sure.
Colombia, the centrists, they call it, in the translation, tibios, like that will be like warm people. They tell us the warm people but it's dangerous, man. In fact, in this city, the last time we did an interview, there was helicopters.
Right.
And the interviewer, the person that was interviewed, what's on with these helicopters? In the last months, there were some kind of, I don't know if it's like bombings. I don't know if it's fakes or real bombings, but it's dangerous because when we hear that they're bombing stations or they are killing people, well, we see that it's going too far. But of course, I'm with the Jones, but I need to tell to the Jones, man, you are doing it great, but you need to think more. Well, I will translate. John, estoy agradecido con la pregunta y también con la respuesta de Stefano porque, bueno, primero me disculpé por el ruido, ¿no? Hay mucho ruido ahorita en la cuadra y dice que se necesita ambas juventudes, la pragmática y la apasionada. ¿Por qué? Y acá viene, digamos, la controversia. Digamos que llegando al meollo de la respuesta, Estefano es muy parecido a mí en el sentido de que nos ubicamos en un centro y tú sabes muy bien que una persona que se ubica en un centro, pues generalmente es criticada, ¿no?
Sí.
Él dice que las necesitamos porque necesitamos a ese joven que lee todo, esos jóvenes que están informándose y que obviamente se están informando para opinar. Estamos hablando de aquí el contexto estadounidense. Pero hay que tener mucho cuidado porque al ser la primera generación que tiene los medios virtuales, porque antes te acuerdas que cuando se protestaba, nada, se tenían que sentar a una mesa y opinaban. Ahorita no, ahorita hay una virtualidad. Tú sabes muy bien que hay agendas políticas, agendas sociales, y muchas veces esas agendas, esos algoritmos, pues están respondiendo a las pasiones que tienen los jóvenes. Entonces él dice que nada, se necesitan ambas, pero que incluso este documental es como una carta de amor a los centennials. O sea, que ni siquiera es un documental que los ataca, sino al contrario, que los apoya por ser la primera generación. O sea, después de muchos años que se lanzó a protestar. Yo le di el ejemplo colombiano. Le dije que es muy loco porque desde que empezamos el proyecto, estaban las protestas. Hemos hecho entrevistas, las protestas siguen, y sabemos que cuando se suba esta entrevista, las protestas van a ir en Colombia. Entonces le dije que espero esta respuesta pueda servir para nuestros jóvenes, pues yo no me considero joven, pero él dice, mira, es necesario el centro. Él se considera también de centro, es necesario el centro porque es muy difícil ir a esos extremos, o extrema izquierda o extrema derecha. Yo le dije que pues es lo que ocurre acá, la gente de centro es atacada. Le conté pues lo que ha ocurrido, que incluso en medio de las entrevistas se oyen helicópteros y todo, y es por lo que ha ocurrido acá. Entonces yo creo que esta respuesta es muy necesaria.
Muy necesaria. Y no solo eso, antes de darle la palabra a usted, hay una pregunta que me genera un poco como de inquietud, como un poco como de, no ansiedad, sino de curiosidad, y es el tema de la chica que no puede hablar. Todas conocemos una historia de Charlotte, con Laura Peregrini y él bajo la dirección de ese gran formato. Los felicito. O sea, yo amé la entrevista que tuvieron en varios medios europeos, pero ahí es donde me surge la pregunta: ¿cuál es la verdad que todo cineasta, desde su perspectiva, cuál es la verdad que todo cineasta ve cada día, pero que no se puede plasmar en el cine?
Okay, another tricky question, but for another top subject. that is about the girl who cannot speak.
Sure, yes.
Because, man, the fact is that you are dealing with subjects that are everyday, but sometimes the media or doesn't cover it the right way, or is totally unknown for the people, and that's the sexual abuse against women. And you know that the data, the numbers are too bad because women are still abused. In fact, Colombia and Latin America got sad figures, sad, so many women. So again, what is the right way to cover this subject? And by the way, John, congratulations, because he has sought every interview to you and Laura Pellegrini, and said that he loved that the answer that you get. But this subject, we need to talk more about that, and it may feel to the woman that, hey, you come with us because sometimes the radicalism. Oh no, man, you don't support us. No, we support you. But tell us.
So, first of all, let me just say, with Laura Pellegrini, it's amazing to have a co-director who's a woman. That helps a huge amount, guys. Because if I didn't have that, then there would be more resistance. There would be more space, especially when you're dealing with a very delicate topic. And to go to your questions, by the way, John, questions are all so good. I love these questions. Many times I get the same questions. I've never gotten all the series of these questions in such a good order. So Andreas, you have to tell him how good these have been. How do you deal with the subject? How do you deal with this subject? You have to deal with it head on. And you have to, in a documentary, you have to go into the details of what happened. And that's an uncomfortable place. As a filmmaker, when I hear many details of sexual abuse, I can it can really affect me, and it can affect everybody. It's you get into the story, and then you don't know how to keep going with the film. So you have to use the details, and you have to move the film along by humanizing them. So I'll give you an example. The way that I wanted them to be lit with lighting was very heroic, regal, very, very lovingly. How you present them is extremely important. I wanted to do a film, and Laura wanted to do a film. Laura and I wanted to do a film that presented them as heroes in their story, that they were passing through this version of themselves, but it was in the past, and they had become better people. That's the second thing I would say. The last thing I would say is that making them reflective. It's important when they have the time to think about what the experience was like. That's uncomfortable when you ask someone. So there's two components, right? One is asking somebody what happened, and then for them to reflect on what happened. And that's some of the hardest stuff, because the reflection of how something happened, they start to talk about how they were, how it affected their intimate relationships, how it affected their love, how it affected the next guy that they were with, or the next three guys and that were scared to be with men. I think all of those things have a place in a good film, and trying to honor them rather than being too voyeuristic, and just watching that line. Just watch that line, because you want to bring out the best and make them look like heroes in their story.
I had to thank you, and I had to thank John, because here in this format, I got the loot to talk not only with you, but with Sabrina Van Tassel. Sabrina Van Tassel is a documentarist, and she has dealing with these subjects And I tell to her the same thing that I'm going to tell to you. Before this, I was a journalist in a tabloid, something a tabloid, and man, I had to deal in a voyeuristic way, not for me, but my bosses, with this subject. And it's horrible because it's like we are going to make that the violence against women is normal. Oh, it's normal. Every day a woman is killed, is raped, it's normal. Right. It's not normal, man. I was almost in the burden of society because I don't want to deal with this news again. I don't want to deal. Humanizing this, and of course, a salute to my feminists and my female friends. This is a way to say, yeah, man, you showing that a woman is doing something heroic from the recovery is amazing, man, because every time I am sad of seeing stories that, oh, poor girls, not. Oh, man, okay, amazing answer. Of course, amazing question, John. I will tell him. John, me pidió el favor, Stefano, que te lo diga. Espero, bueno, agárrate en el puesto, porque me dice algo así: estoy cansado de ir a varias entrevistas y que me pregunten cosas que no demuestren que hay una profundidad en el trabajo. Dices que te estás luciendo, my friend, ¿cómo? La estás matando. Entonces, gracias. Y ahora la respuesta, una respuesta increíble, en la que pues también me tomé el tiempo de dar una opinión. Gracias, John. Porque, de hecho, empezaré por el final. Le dije a Stefano que pues estoy agradecido con este formato, porque pues en este formato no solo entrevisté a él, sino a Sabrina Van Tassel. Y pues te acuerdas, ¿no? Que el trabajo de ambos humaniza una cuestión que antes yo estaba acostumbrado a ver por mi trabajo de periodista, de una manera, como la expresa Stefano, muy voyeurística. O sea, el tema es muy duro. Y la pregunta, la que tú hiciste, se la hice planteándole como que cuál es la mejor forma de contar esa historia, porque muchas veces, o sea, mucho no es suficiente con el tema del abuso, sí. O sea, de expresarlo. Y aquí hay algo muy bueno, porque menos mal mencionaste a Laura, porque él dice que ella quería contar una historia de eso, y Stefano quería contar una historia de eso, y se reunieron. Hay un aspecto muy, muy bueno, tal vez aquí me disculpo, no me acuerdo de todo, pero lo más importante es el uso de la iluminación. ¿Por qué? Analiza bien el tráiler. Tú te vas a dar cuenta que en ningún momento se usan, digamos, como luces tristes, sino al contrario, es muy heroico. Sí. Claro, eso demuestra de que ellas son las heroínas. O sea, pasaron por una situación horrible, pero no por eso se las va a victimizar, sino al contrario, se les va a demostrar cómo ellas dan ese avance, cómo dan ese avance heroico en sus vidas, porque lo más complejo es el después. O sea, cómo ellas tienen que continuar una vida, por ejemplo, cuando después tienen otra pareja y otra pareja, con este golpe tan duro. Dice que no, que yo creo que resumiéndole, ahí me disculpo, tal vez no me acuerdo todo por la emoción, pero dice que, bueno, mentiras, dice que siempre ese tema se tiene que ser frentero, de frente. No se puede ni se puede ser muy boyerista, o hablemoslo en términos colombianos, muy sapo.
Como Gaita.
Sí, no se puede ser como que tan pornomiseria como en Colombia, tú sabes, que yo dije que eso es, yo todos los días tenía que lidiar con eso, pero se tiene que ir de frente con este tema. Yo creo que una respuesta increíble, hombre. Increíble. Y me disculpo si no dije todo, pero tranquilo. Oye, te felicito, ¿no?
Tranquilo, gracias por el halago, Stefano. Para mí es un gusto con Andrés, es fantástico. Andrés, puedes continuar.
Ok, Stefano, tú entendiste.
Gracias.
No, in fact, I got the loot because this question is from mine. No, man, I gotta ask you, how was to start in this world being directed by Anne Lehman? I really want to know, man.
It was a gift from heaven. A gift from heaven. He was a very precise director. We would roll in old 1960s cars down on a hill, and it was in the middle of the night. So each take that I would have cars rolling, and the camera would follow me. And when he would yell cut, the cars would have to get in reverse and go all the way back up the hill to match the same shot. So I think I got the take in maybe 3 times, and he was very happy. He's like, very good, Stefano. You saved me and the studio lots of money just doing this. So I was very happy with him, and he was always very nice. You know, I met him afterwards, and he talked to me about his family, and he remembered my mom. And it's the little things, you know, about directors that are, you know, the directors in the world who are extremely talented. They tend to be very human. The ones that are small people and very competitive, you know, they're not the ones that are at the top. They're usually they're still fighting for their space, you know, fighting for where they belong in the world.
But before I translate, it's crazy because sometimes I know Andy first is the man that is the guilty for made me love every martial arts films with
Tiger Hidden Dragon. Tiger Hidden Dragon. He was a genius.
Is the guilty person, and it's crazy because he sometimes the critic says, "Oh, he has to show." What he has to show? He did that. He did Broadband Mountain. He did Life of Pi. Man, you're a living genius that is still pushing the envelope. So every time the critics said, "Oh, Ali still hasn't proved what he has to prove." In fact, the movies that he made before, like Eat, Pray, Love, it's beautiful.
He's phenomenal. You know what he is? He's an auteur. He can do everything. He can do Sense and Sensibility.
Of course.
He can do The Ice Storm. I mean, Ang Lee has the ability to take any genre and make it his own. Even his Hulk was good. I liked his Hulk. You know, when he did the Hulk with Eric Bana, I thought it was good.
I got you a crazy story. We are going to interview one person in the night that is a Colombian director, but he directed, his name is Nelson Cobos, but he directed a movie in Ecuador that was the movie that beat in the box office to Hall. So it's a crazy story because he's the only person that was possible to achieve that in the box office in Ecuador. So it's a crazy story. But
that's amazing. You guys are going to have a great interview tonight, a phenomenal interview, and I'm praying for you guys because you guys are already a duo, a team here, a team, you and John, and this has flown by. This interview's just flown.
And I will translate. Bueno, John, una traducción. Gracias por la pregunta. Dice que aquí nos recuerda una anécdota que puede que ya la haya contado en otras páginas, pero se nota que él no le encanta recordarla. Tú eres muy preciso en detalles, John. Resulta que, de hecho, al contar esa anécdota, me doy cuenta que faltaba ese detalle extra. ¿Qué pasa? En esta cinta, Ang Lee es tan meticuloso con él, porque le pregunté cómo trabajar con él. Ang Lee es tan meticuloso con las cosas que en realidad él hizo todo el montaje de lo que fue Woodstock y con carros de la época y todo, en el 69. La toma es muy graciosa porque digamos que, imagínate tú, John, como director, y que tengas un montón de carros antiguos. Y no sé, haya pues un actor en escena, Stefano en este caso, y va un montón de carros atrás tuyo, así, ta. De repente tú dices corte, y él le volvió a pedir a los carros igual que retrocedieran y volvieran a la misma velocidad. Y tú sabes muy bien que hacer tomas con carros es muy complejo, John, es demasiado. Ang Lee le dijo que tú ayudaste hasta que esta toma saliera súper porque solo se repitió 3 veces. Las 3 veces que son las reglamentarias. Dice que después, y entendiendo muy bien que esta película es una producción muy grandísima, más por el detalle, ¿no? O sea, hay muchos actores. Dice que nada, después tuvo la oportunidad de hablar con él, que era una persona muy centrada, que en parte le recordó que fue un ambiente muy familiar, y pues yo le dije, ¿no? O sea, como para que pues Ang Lee era el culpable de pues mi amor al cine oriental. Él dice que es un genio, él dice que es como ese tipo de directores, y ahí hablamos un rato, ¿no? De que a veces él siente que que está como buscando un lugar, y yo le dije que pues siempre me daba risa que los críticos pues le dieran duro a Lee, porque a Lee no le tiene que probar nada a nadie, pues claro que no, sensatez y sentimientos, el tigre y el dragón. Es más, di una anécdota que es perfecta para lo que va a ocurrir hoy. Bueno, spoiler. Le conté que se iba a entrevistar a Néstor Cobos, que fue el único director que logró vencer en la taquilla Hall en Ecuador con su película. Y nos dijo, y por eso que estoy agradecido, que vamos a romperla, que él ha sentido que toda la entrevista ha fluido y que él dice que somos un dúo dinámico, lo que estoy agradecidísimo. Oh. Aunque le iba a decir que somos un trío dinámico, ¿no? O un cuarteto dinámico con César. In fact, Stefano, we are a dynamic threesome, or trio. Or in sometimes it's a four. We are like the Fantastic Four, because César is not here, but sometimes with us is César from Mexico. And sometimes there are a friend called John Sebastián, but we are four amazing Latinos.
I like that. You guys are everyone brings their own characteristics and their own qualities to the interviews, and you guys, that's amazing. Next time you have me on, I'll have the 4 panel of them. It'd be very interesting to have all 4 of them and everybody. Although I have a good liking to Jhon, because he's been killing it with the great questions. So
Jhon is a genius. Yeah. In fact, I missed the all 4 in an interview, but I will tell Jhon to do it, and man, thank you. In fact, sometimes we are sad because we see the viewings and we say, but this not us interviewers, the people that we are interviewing is great, the questions are amazing, and why it doesn't have so many views, but I know that time will tell.
Time will tell. Time will tell, and just driving traffic and getting as many people to share it as much as possible. When you guys have this ready, I'm ready to share it, and then also on Instagram, on all social media.
Thank you, man. Jhon, acá hay una promesa. Bueno, pues le está contando que en realidad más que un dúo somos un trío, un cuarteto fantástico, pues con César, amigo, hola César, y con John Sebastián. Dice que le gusta porque cada quien brinda como sus características. Dijo que la próxima vez, conste, ¿no? Que la próxima vez que lo entrevistemos, él quiere vernos a los 4, a César y a John Sebastián. Toca hacer bastante planeación. 2, dice que yo le dije, le conté la gran verdad, que a veces es triste ver, y no lo digo nosotros por entrevistadores, sino por la gente que entrevistamos, el nivel de la gente, las preguntas, que por cierto te vuelvo a repetir que está haciendo estas preguntas. Y uno dice que los vistos, pero yo le dije que estamos esperando porque el tiempo lo dirá. Él dice que el tiempo lo dirá y que apenas salga esta entrevista va a rotarla en todos lados.
Oh, gracias. Es muy amable de su parte, la verdad que sí.
Y creo que tienes una preguntota.
Pero tú vas a hacer una.
Ok, bueno, ok, Stefano. Jhon gave me the opportunity to do this question because he got the final and great question. Sure. But I was reading that, and that makes me feel good because look, as I feel connected because I am also a poet, and I read that you also had this side of the poetry. Tell us more about that, man. Tell us more about that side of you as a poet.
Always written poetry since I was a kid. I loved Allen Ginsberg when I was growing up. I love Pablo Neruda. I love Neruda as an amazing poet. And I would write all the time. And in elementary school, high school, I took a lot of creative writing. This is way before I was a filmmaker. I used to just write more poetry. And then I was able to present my poems in many different places in New York at the Nuyorican, the Poets Cafe. I was able to have 2 poems published in Canada, which was really, really nice. And I would write about what all young men think about. I would write about love all the time. That was my favorite type of topics. And I always feel that a good poem for me clears my head. It keeps me focused on there feels like some magic is happening. Yes. And it's good for my soul. It fills my soul in a very different way than filmmaking. And so when you write and you spend your time doing poetry, you activate something inside your soul, and that always makes me very, very grateful. It feels like I'm touching magic.
Only because when I saw Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and I saw some scenes, some people say, "Oh, martial." I said, "This is poetry."
That's right. That's right.
How can I? In fact, I had to tell you, that is one of the few movies that every time I see the end, every time I cry, and sometimes my mind, like, why are you crying? It's a martial arts movie. My mother, she jumps because he took. How is your Spanish? How is your Spanish?
I can understand it perché parlo italiano. I speak Italian. I understand a little bit of Spanish, but I don't speak it that well but Italian è molto ci assomiglia l'espagnolo, cioè italiano e l'espagnolo suonano quasi lo stesso. So I can understand certain words from Italian. Read some of it. Read some of your.
Yes. In fact, I want to read a point. This was I was like 18 years, man, but I love this point. I hope John va a leer un poema. Vamos a ver si Stefano se llama. It's called cuestionamiento. Question. ¿Por qué los poetas cuando aman desean desfigurar sus bocas en los besos? ¿Acaso desean saber si esos labios son inmortales como sus poemas? Do you understand it?
Yeah, immortal like a poet, or
yes. Like, why? I will try to translate. Why the poets, when they love, wish to, how do you say this figure? Destroy their mouths in the kisses. Maybe they wish to know that those lids are immortal as his poems.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I translated. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
That's an old point. Later, I published a tales book, but man, as a writer, I feel like I'm talking to a friend, because writing, sometimes people don't see. Oh, they feel, oh, he's a writer, so he's just passing time. He's just losing time. No, man. In fact, writing is the main element for do a movie, and some movies can become points.
Correct. It's the basis of everything. And send me that poem. I would love if you could email me that poem, and that would be so nice if you could email it to me, the same email address that we've been using, because that would make me so happy to read it in Spanish and the translation in English, and any more of them that you want to send me, because I love poetry. I love it very much.
That will be a pleasure, and in fact, I will see that if a photographer friend still has that point on his photo, so I will share with the picture of my friend. Thank you, man. John, sí, de hecho, él ha sido publicado, si no me equivoco, en Canadá, y ha participado incluso en lecturas, creo que en el New Yorker, eso es en Nueva York. Dice que sus influencias son David Allen Ginsberg, me fascina. I love David Allen Ginsberg. Por supuesto, pues la representación latina, Pablo Neruda. Dice que siempre lo ha hecho, siempre, de hecho, mucho antes de hacer cine. Dice que, por eso saqué el libro, porque es identificado. Dice que cuando él lee un buen poema, él se siente agradecido porque le da como esa sensación de felicidad, alegría. Yo le dije que, pues, según Italo Calvino, eso es la levedad. Y volvimos a hablar, pues, del tema de An Lee, ¿no? O sea, cuando yo vi el Tigre y el Dragón, yo dije, eso es poesía. O sea, unos ven artes marciales, es más, le confesé que yo le confesé que es de las pocas películas, le digo sin miedo, el Tigre y el Dragón, de las pocas películas que me repito y lloro al final, y siempre voy a llorar al final. Le compartí mi poema y él dice que se lo envía, así que gracias, John.
Con mucho gusto. Vamos con la última pregunta, Stefano. Vamos a ver, es muy complicado porque la estuve planteando casi toda la semana, y es, tú ganaste un premio a la mejor contribución artística por ser Simon en Jhon. Jhon es considerado como una de las historias más, ¿cómo puedo decir?, desesperantes sobre Gulu en Uganda. Pero bueno, no nos extendemos más en el tema así, sobre el conflicto y eso. Tú asumiste el rol de Simon como es fotoperiodista con estrés postraumático. Hay tipo de tres estrés: el, el agudo, el psicocontinuo y el crónico. Pero tú, al ser Simon, si conoces a alguien como Simon en algún momento de la vida, ya sea en Cannes o sea en cualquier momento, hasta en el supermercado, y que tú conozcas la historia, si él quiere volver al lugar, pero no quiere volver a ese lugar, sino a otro lugar del mundo para hacer un disparo de fotografía, ¿cuál sería el mejor disparo de la vida para que cambie completamente su futuro?
Wow, that's the final question. It's tricky, but I know you love it because we're going to talk about your role in Joy Burn, in which you play Simon. If you encounter a real life Simon, a person who has been in these dark places, what will be the advice that you give him so this person can give their last shot, but not, we are not talking about shooting, but a photography?
I love this question because I rarely get asked this question about the film Joyburn. So a couple things to let the audience know. I was in Uganda. I went, Stefano, to Uganda. So before I got the role of Joyburn to play Simon, I had visited northern Uganda. This was before South Sudan had happened. So I don't want to go too much into detail, but I had lived in Africa and had an apartment in Uganda, in Kampala, which is the capital. And one of the things that I would say about the role of Simon is that he's traumatized by what he saw there. He completely changes. And if I were to meet somebody who was like Simon now, I would have a lot of compassion for him, but I would want to get him a lot of help, because sometimes what happens is, to individuals, they become obsessive. They become obsessive with the trauma that they see, and they keep replaying it over and over and over again. My advice to a real life Simon was to go and get as much help as possible, speak to a psychologist, speak to a psychiatrist, and then start photographing nature. Move away from political, political war zones and danger zones. Even for me, I couldn't keep going back to, I was in Ethiopia and Kenya and Uganda and like South Sudan. These things take a toll on you after a while. They psychologically, they really can wear you out. So that's my best piece of advice. If I were to meet a real life Simon, photograph nature. Nature will bring you to God. Nature will bring you to God.
I want to thank you also because I don't want to talk politics, but I am sad as a Colombian because you know that we always been in war, in a social conflict, an inter-conflict. We lived 8 years without war, but now a president came and the war started. And it's sad because Colombia got beautiful landscapes, man. I live in the times of peace. I was traveling to Colombia, and I said, "Oh my God!" In fact, I will show you. I got a short film, but that short film isn't private. But I will show you the I can say the key to, because
please send
God, God landscapes that I call to a friend, man. You have to travel because this place is amazing. And it's sad because now the war is coming back. So what the Simons from Colombia are going to photograph? In fact, there is a documentary on Netflix. It's called The Witness, El Testigo, that is from a guy that has photographed war every year. And man, he's worn out. And it's sad because he hasn't go to that places. He's photographed war in Colombia, and man. Yeah. As a Colombian, I don't want to see that more.
No, it wears you out. It wears out your soul. It wears out. And Andreas and John, one of the last things I want to say is I love your country. I have been to Colombia. I have been to Cartagena. I have been to Palomino. I have been to Bogota. I have been many times to Bogota. I love this city. I've been up on the mountain. I wish I knew the when you go all the way up on the high mountain.
¿En Kendama? No, el Cerro Monserrate.
Yes, Montserrat. That's right. I've been all the way up there. I've also been to the Gold Museum in Bogota. I love the people in Colombia, and I love my time that I was there. And so I hope to carry this conversation over drinks together, and we can see each other in person. That would be very, very nice. I love Colombia so much.
And our beer is delicious, man. So, no, come to Cúcuta. We are from Cúcuta. This is in the border with Venezuela. Okay. And sometimes I laugh because, now the people are seeing the people from Venezuela like enemies, but man, we live, the border is like a 10 minutes, so they are my brothers.
Yes. And they went through with Chavez and everything. They lost everything. So yes. They really lost everything.
Yes.
So we have to have some compassion.
Yes.
To people. Yes.
Thank you. And I will translate. Bueno, John, como oíste, y es que hay algo increíble, te agradecen, porque nadie le pregunta sobre ese corto, y si le preguntan, nunca le preguntan sobre Simon. Resulta que él estuvo en esos lugares. Él estuvo en Uganda.
En Uganda, wow.
Mucho antes de ir a otros países, de hecho, porque él dice que se asume ese rol de una manera tal porque él vio ese infierno. Dice que si encontrara ahorita a un Simon, le diría primero, y esto me parece muy importante, que sí tome ayuda, o sea, sí acuda a un psiquiatra, un psicoanalista. Y quiero hacer énfasis en eso porque muchas personas toman como broma eso y no, la psiquiatría es necesaria. 2, que vaya fotografíe naturaleza. La naturaleza es acercarse a Dios. Yo le di un ejemplo y le dije que no quería hablar de política, pero que Colombia siempre estuvo en un conflicto, hubo 8 años de paz, y en esos 8 años de paz, pues, no solo yo, mucha gente conoció pues la naturaleza en Colombia, y que es muy triste ahorita ver que pues volvió la guerra, y pues que van a ser los Simons de acá, ¿no? Él dice que ama Colombia, que él ha estado acá, bueno, estuvo en Cartagena, estuvo en Palomino, estuvo en Bogotá, en Monserrate, estuvo en el Museo del Oro. Él dice que quiere hablar de estos temas tomándose, ojalá nos tomemos una BBC, una buena cervecita. Okay. What did you drink? You drink BBC, Club Colombia, Águila, Aguardiente?
Aguardiente. That's all we would drink is aguardiente.
It's tough stuff.
Very hard. It's very hard.
It melts you.
Yes. Aguardiente before we would go out, while we were out, and then when we would come back home. Aguardiente. And I would come home sometimes at 7:00 in the morning. So aguardiente took me through the whole night.
We call it guaro. Guarito.
Guarito.
Yes. Okay, John, felicitarte.
No, dámosle un fuerte aplauso a Stefano.
Guys, thank you so much for having me.
Es increíble.
Thank you guys.
No, con mucho gusto. Un saludo a las redes sociales suyas. O sea, un saludo a Colombia, sus redes sociales, todo.
Stefano, the camera is yours. Say hi to Colombia. Give us your social media. A salute to the channel. And so the camera is yours.
Yes. So I want to say hello to all Colombia, all the lovers of cinema, all the lovers of movies out in Colombia. You can check out my films with Laura Pellegrini at www.rossofilmsinternational.com. You can also see our latest documentary, The Day I Had to Grow Up, on www.thedaydocumentary.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Stefano Da Fre. It's my name, no changes, just all together, all one word. I'm on Twitter, and I'm always interested in hearing ideas from other filmmakers, from people who love cinema. And I want to say thank you so much to Andreas and to John for having me, and a big besos to the rest of Colombia.
My name is Andres, but I love Andreas. Andreas is a great name, but it's Andres. Don't worry. And we are going to Andres. And we are going to take a picture, so the social media. But I wanna with this.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
I was like 21 years old, man, but I was so happy. And I was the youngest poet in this. This is like all the living poets from my city, so it was an honor. And I got an history. This artwork is from a friend that years later killed himself. But when I don't have it next to me, but when I published my own book, I used another artwork from him, like an homage. So he's always with me. No, thank you.
Gracias, Estefano, por esa maravillosa oportunidad. Muchas gracias y muchos éxitos.
Muchas gracias. Después nos tomamos. We will drink aguardiente next time.
I would love that.
Yes.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Ya saben, en la Sunpuliche Interview con Jhon Jatenjor los invita a suscribirse, darle me gusta, compartir y disfruten de estas grandes entrevistas inéditas a las grandes celebridades del séptimo arte a través de las traducciones simultáneas del inglés al español y del español al inglés y muchas curiosidades más.